Hello, lollygaggers. Another week on tap here, lollygagging sports. Little Kate Bush to get us started. I'm not thinking about Stranger Things at all, Samantha. I promise. I'm really not. Even though I miss it dearly.
Yeah, I've moved on from it, but also I miss it. So I don't really know what to do with that.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, let's talk some sports and some other things that aren't sports related. I mean, let's be honest. There's not a lot going on right now. How you doing, Samantha? Everything good?
I'm okay. I'm a little cold. It's too cold here. But otherwise, I don't have any grievances.
Are you going to get like 1,200 feet of snow?
I have yet to live anywhere that could rival either Cleveland or State College in terms of snow because, mountains, lake effect.
Yeah.
So I am unimpressed with the snow volumes in this area. However, there's a lot more snow than you get in like New York. I mean, there's snow everywhere here right now, but I find it quite manageable. So it's going to be super gross when it all melts and you have to walk through the dirt slush. But
yeah,
right now it's pretty. It's fine. And there's a weird bird in my yard. Not the turkey this time. What? It's something that I think is some kind of mutant cardinal. Very interesting.
What are you doing to attract these weird birds?
I don't know. They find me. Like, no. Like, I mean, I did feed the cardinal because he was pretty and I wanted him to stay. So, he'll probably come back because I fed him. But I didn't feed that stupid turkey, man. That was not my fault. I don't know what that's about.
All right. Well, Irby, how about you? How you doing? We're not quite cold just yet, but it's coming.
Yes, it was, working for a hospital system was a day full of reassuring people two things. One, you're going to be fine. Two, no, we don't know how much it's falling yet. It's too soon to tell. It's going to be fine. It's all good. It's all good. I'm planning on working from home till like Tuesday now.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I don't do ice. I just don't do ice. Never have enjoyed it. Never will enjoy it. So if we get ice, I'm staying inside.
Well, then you'll like it. It is trending more towards the sleetish snow than ice.
Okay. See, I can deal with that.
That's a good. Yeah.
I could deal with that. I could deal with that. Ice? No, I can't. All right. Well, what do you say we get into it, Samantha? You want to kick us off a little rapid fire?
Sure. Let's do some rapid fire. Mostly NFL. A few other things that need to be addressed.
Are they Stranger Things?
Some of them are strange. Yes. Strange lowercase.
Well done.
Lowercase Stranger Things. So indeed some strangeness here for sure. So 10 questions. These guys will have an opportunity to come back and explain one of the answers in greater detail if they so choose. So let us begin. The way that I don't think I've ever begun anything before, by asking you about whether you would put cayenne pepper in your socks to keep warm. Speaking of colds, because this is a thing, apparently, allegedly.
No, I would not do that. But I do wonder, is this going to reach pickle juice status?
I would rather put the pepper in my socks than drink pickle juice. But, Irby, what about you?
No, if somebody wants to do it, go for it. No thanks, I'm good.
I'm just not convinced from like a scientific standpoint that this would work. Like different kind of heat, you know what I mean? But like, hey, you know what? If it makes you feel better, go nuts. Okay. Who's not feeling better? The Denver Broncos. Because they are going into the AFC Championship with Jared Stidham, who has not thrown a pass in 2 years. Thoughts?
As much as I would like to give Broncos fans hope because, you never know with the wild card quarterback, I think we know in this case. Like, this is just try to keep it a close game. That's really all I think you can expect from Denver, and that's even going to be a stretch.
Yeah. Irby?
Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, I bet Sean Payton loves this, right? He's thinking he's gonna have his Nick Foles moment here, but like, I don't think it's gonna work out.
Did you see that Nick Foles tweeted about it?
Of course he did. No, it's not your time, man. But good for him. Okay, if you're the Bills, like, what do you do? Like, do you think they did the right thing in firing their coach? And if so, well, where are you going now?
I do think so, but I think this is one probably to come back to at the end. But I do think they did the right thing.
Okay, Irby?
It depends on who you bring in. Is what I'm about to say. Like, I want to see that. So I'm trending towards yes, but again, if you end up bringing Chip Kelly in, then no.
Okay, yeah, I'm trending towards no. I think for probably the same reason, but we'll come back to this one. Okay, so Robert Saleh, Titans job. Any thoughts on that?
All they needed to do was hire Jason Garrett to get him off my TV on Sunday nights. Like that's all I was looking for.
Well, I mean, the Browns are still out there, so they're still.
That's fair. That's fair. No, I mean, this is his second go round as an HC. Maybe he learned something from the last one. Maybe not. I don't know. On this one, like it's one of those where did he get a raw deal in his last go? Maybe. So let's see what he's actually got. But are the Titans going to give him that shot? Remains to be seen.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing anybody learns anything coaching the Jets, but I also, it may not have been his fault what happened there. So, yeah, we shall see. Irby, what do you think? You are losing your defensive coordinator. How you feeling about that?
I mean, yeah, I get technically we are and everything. I think San Francisco was very aware that this was more than likely going to happen, that he was just a 1-year deal, basically.
Yeah.
Loved having him back. It would be great for another year, but get it. Tennessee should be patient. What is this, back-to-back horrid years? So they should be patient. So we'll see. I hope he does well. Love the guy. And if it doesn't work out, Robert, DC job in San Fran is always there for you, buddy.
Yeah, I like Saleh, so I hope this works out for him. But yeah, it's good to have that kind of insurance policy in place. Okay, AFC Championship. I think you guys have already told me how you feel about this, but who wins this one?
Oh, New England, and it's going to be over with before halftime.
Yeah, Irby.
Golly, Bo, come on. No, Denver's defense kind of will keep this close, but no, war of attrition, Patriots. It's just Stidham can't do it.
Yeah, as somebody who doesn't even believe in Bo Nix, and now I'm being asked to believe in a worse option. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Patriots all the way. How about the NFC?
Seattle.
Irby?
Yes. It's boring football wins football games.
I'm going to go Rams because that's what I'm hoping will happen, but who knows, really. All right, Super Bowl matchup. I'm asking you now, what is the Super Bowl matchup you want? Not the one you think we're going to get. Or maybe they're the same thing. But I'm asking what you want to see in the Super Bowl.
I mean, I think it's going to be what I want is actually what we're going to end up with, which is Seattle, New England, which is going to be a very good defensive football game with a lot of weirdness on the offensive side of the ball.
Irby?
If the Seahawks or the Rams, whoever's quarterback gets injured, then Broncos versus that team, and we just have a game of the backup quarterbacks.
Consolation Super Bowl? Yeah, I can't. I'm really unexcited about anyone left in the field except the Patriots. So I'm kind of hoping for that. We're going to get the MVP results before the Super Bowl, right? So somebody is going to be pretty cranky if it's Rams Patriots, which I think would be interesting. So I'm hoping for that. Okay. We need to talk about Baker Mayfield versus Kevin Stefanski via the Orlando Ledbetter. What do you think about this?
I do love using the reporter as a proxy. It's amazing.
Yes.
That's my favorite part of the story. Also, Baker, I mean, how long have you been holding that in? Like, that felt like he's been holding that in for a while and finally just got triggered. Boom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's like, this is my moment, right? Well, Irby, I don't know. I might need to come back to this one. I don't know. Irby, what do you think?
Oh, I'm what is it, week 2? Super excited about week 2.
Hey. gotta have something, right?
Yeah.
And I just like D-Led, and I know D-Led we used to shoot video together a very long time ago at one of my former employers. And he's a great guy, and he's a good reporter. I think he kind of walked into this one, but also he's a beat reporter, for the Falcons. So that's kind of part of his job. Like, his job is not to be nice to Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield basically just ignored the fact that this was the person who put that out into the universe and was like, here's my moment. Now I'm going to take my swipe at Stefanski. And I mean, I'm always Team Baker, right? But like, the whole thing is just, it's going to make for some great low stakes rivalry that will ultimately not matter one whit for anybody in the NFL next year. But I'm glad we're keeping this alive.
Irby, you remember that picture was a lot back when when Kinsler was with the Rangers and he had that thumbs up to the umpires. After he got ejected. You know what I'm talking about? I got that energy from Baker Mayfield. Right, it was thumbs up to his old coach for getting another kick.
All right. So we have to touch briefly on the thing that none of us really care about, which was the college football championship. So are we thinking, is this Big Ten supremacy? Because this is 3 in a row now over the SEC. I don't care about the ACC. I know if you're an ACC person, you're going to be mad at me, and I don't care. But what do we think? Big Ten versus SEC. I mean, how definitive do we think this is, or do we just think this was a weird year and like Indiana was a weird?
I think both can be true. I think it could be a weird year, but also the Big Ten has supremacy over the SEC. That's pretty clear.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably the right way to look at it. Irby, thoughts?
Oh, absolutely supremacy. 3 different champions over 3 years. SEC, shut your mouth till you do something.
Right?
Yeah.
You haven't even been in the championship game, let alone win it. You haven't even been in the freaking game. Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so you guys, we need to talk about this Bo Bichette to third base business. Because I just do they know? Do they know that's not the same as moving someone to second? Do they know that? Do you think they're aware of that?
No.
I
think it's pretty clear they don't know that.
Follow-up question. Will he be playing first by May?
I think he's going to be playing first after they get a look at him in spring training at third base.
You clearly have a lot more faith than I do in their ability to observe and adapt in spring training, but I take your point and agree with it. Irby, what do you think?
What is this? 2 years in a row, conversations between third base and first base. God, first Devers, now Bichette. What are we doing?
Get another Devers situation? That would be exciting. Okay, here's hoping. All right, what do you guys want to come back to? I think, Bo, you wanted to talk about the Bills.
Yeah, I think the thing for me here is you've had this. I'm not going to count this year, but like the years leading up to this year, you had a roster that was Super Bowl caliber and didn't get to the game itself. This year, the roster wasn't as good, it wasn't as deep, but you also had your boogeymen out. Like, this was the year, and I think that's why we saw what we did. It was Super Bowl or bust for Buffalo with their coaching situation, and they didn't get there. So now the axe falls. But I do take your point, both of you, that there's not a lot left in terms of the coaching options. So it's kind of a rock and a hard place type of situation. But I do think that the move was correct. Now let's see who they bring in.
Yeah, I struggle with this a little bit because I think it's only the correct move if you can improve. And I don't know that what's available on the market says that you can. I mean, I would have felt a lot differently about this if Harbaugh was still out there. I would love to see Harbaugh to the Bills. I think that would have been really interesting. Or if Tomlin was just available as a free agent rather than as a trade target. Like, then we could talk about this, but I know what's out there. I'm glad somebody else took Stefanski so that was off the table because, oh my God, But you better be able to do better than Sean McDermott. Otherwise, because you didn't need to fire him. You needed to fire your offensive coordinator. You didn't need to fire McDermott. So if you have a better option, great. But I'm having a hard time imagining what that better option is.
I do.
Which is why I'm hesitant about that.
Okay. So 2 follow-up questions then. One, do you think Harbaugh is pissed that he didn't just give it a couple more weeks? Yeah, I think so
A
too.
couple more weeks, a few more hours.
Although the Bills were not going to give him $20 million and
Right.
$10 million for his coaches, so it just depends what he cares about. But I have a feeling that being as I'm sure he would have still been very handsomely paid, the adaptation to that would have come real quick. So I don't know. He could still Josh McDaniels it, you guys. He could do it. So.
Well, okay. So that's the second follow up here. Do you think they're going to dip into the college ranks?
Maybe. I mean, again, I'm having a hard time imagining who that person would be.
Yeah.
Like, are you getting Bill Belichick? Because if you're not, I'm not interested. Like, is Saban coming out of retirement? Like, I'd hear you out on those. But, like, if somebody says that Indiana coach's name to me, like, then you are going to be metaphorically dead to me. I'm sorry.
I'm not with you on that. You guys know how I feel about that.
Yeah, that's going to be a no. Yeah. All right. Irby, anything you wanted to come back to, or did you want to talk about this?
Aside from Jordan's not moving to Buffalo from Carolina.
Oh, no, look, Jordan is from Maine, okay? Like, he is familiar with the wilds of the Northeast. So perhaps Jordan
could do it. Sounds like another mayhem event coming up for us. Everything. Now, the one I wanted to was just a brief going back to. I hate that the NFC game is before or after the AFC.
Agree.
Because the backup quarterback for the Seahawks is none other than former Bronco Drew Lock, so that could have been fun. And the backup quarter for the Rams is one Jimmy Garoppolo. So now, can we get Patriots Rams and Stafford get hurt and have Garoppolo beat his former team?
Hey, there is just instead of two, like, I mean, there's just this week is lousy with Patriots quarterbacks. There are 3 of them in the mix. 3 of them. So,
But only one has the ring of power. So let's be honest.
That's true.
Yeah, the other 2 are it's tough out there if you're Jimmy Garoppolo or Jared Sitter. Yikes. Okay. Shall we move on? Anything else on these before we move on?
Oh, I'm good.
Good. Okay. All right. So now it is time for our non-football, non-baseball, non-sports project of the week. Irby and I spent way too much time thinking about and sort of crafting a response to, if you follow Ringer, know that they put together a Traitors bracket. So this is, I'm sure, in honor of the TV show Traitors. This was a 64 candidate bracket for the greatest traitors in all of history, fictional, historical, biblical, sports, literature, television, movies, you name it, anything at all, right? And they did a pretty good job on it. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit at the end about what we thought they missed for their bracket. But the big thing that we think they missed on is there were only 2 women in that bracket. So in the spirit of March Madness and the fact that for a very long time, until very recently, people were really neglecting the women's bracket, we decided to right that wrong here, and we created a women's bracket. So don't you worry, we are not going to redo a 64-team bracket, although we did have one at some point, I believe.
You were close!
Sometimes we get way too excited about this stuff, and we spend like days on it. So Irby and I have worked very hard to bring you what we believe is the Sweet 16 of all time female traitors. And then we'll get into some honorable mentions and whatnot. So I'm going to give you the first half of the bracket, and then Irby is going to give you the second half. Some of these are self-explanatory. Some of them maybe need a little bit more. So let's get into it. So on my half of the bracket, let us begin with someone whose husband appeared on the men's bracket. But I would argue this gal is actually more of a traitor than her husband, and that is Lady Macbeth. And to keep with the Shakespeare, we noticed an absence of King Lear over there. So we brought Goneril into the mix as well. So, other fictional characters making an appearance here. Lyssa Arryn. Oh man. Especially if you've read the books of Game of Thrones. Gets real ugly real fast. Creepiest person, I think, in the series. Maybe her or Melisandre. It's hard to say. There are so many good candidates in that, but Lyssa really creeps me out. Her house creeps me out, like the Eyrie. And that place freaks me out. The kid freaks me out. Everything about it. Definitely a worthy candidate for the Traitors bracket. Professor Umbridge had to be brought in. We talked about the argument from Bellatrix, who I actually think was quite loyal to her cause, which was basically just evil. So we decided to go with Umbridge because, Irby, I think you put it best. You said something to the effect of, and correct me or tell me if I'm forgetting one of these, but, she betrayed, I don't know, morality, the ministry, Hogwarts. You mentioned the color pink. I would also argue cats and
Yes.
possibly tea sets.
Yeah.
So Professor Umbridge, for sure. And then our final fictional character on this half of the bracket, Mrs. Coulter, quite possibly one of the most terrifying people I have ever read about, because she comes, well, it's not just that she's creepy, right? It's that she comes with that golden monkey, and so it's like having an evil little thing that can go out and do your bit. I used to have nightmares about that monkey. I think I was about 19 when I read that book, and I had nightmares about that monkey and that lady. And boy, were they creepy. And again, with the betrayal, just, I don't know, it's not just Lyra, right? Or I don't know, her husband, her daughter, Oxford University, in a way, the whole world. So a couple like that. And then we have our real life figures, one of whom is Coco Chanel. So I generally want to be really careful when we talk about World War II collaborators, especially in France, and when we're talking about women, because there are a lot of people who were accused of, I'm using scare quotes here, collaborating, when really they were just trying to survive. But Coco, she went a bridge or 7 too far on this. So I think we could safely call Coco Chanel, though she may make beautiful tweed suits, a traitor. And, oh no, I have 2 more of these for you. So Abigail Williams, we need to talk about this. And Irby, I think, maybe feels particularly strongly about this because he did have a family member who was part of the witch trials there. And Abigail, man, she betrayed the whole town. I mean, she just started and she just couldn't stop. It was one person and then it was 17, and pretty soon she was getting people lit on fire all over Salem. So, and we know she made the whole thing up. And she didn't even have the excuse of some of these people that she was making a land grab. She was just kind of an asshole, right? So Abigail, not great. And then finally, one of my personal favorites, Peggy Shippen Arnold, who is on this list, not as a traitor to America, because her family was loyalists. They were always going to side with the British in the American Revolution. The real betrayal here to me, and Irby, you tell me if you agree with this, was John Andre. And I am telling you, the way that I felt crushed by what she did to him, so she could run off with Benedict, who did quite well on the original Ringer bracket, by the way. Good old Benedict, her chalky pick, right? But we wanted to bring in Peggy because she's more interesting. So I think you can't see her as a traitor to America because she was a loyalist, and like many British people in my family, she was loyal to the crown. But man, I can't get past that John Andre business.
No, that's great, Eddie. And I thought of that aspect. That's good because yes, Peggy, and I'll start there. Peggy, Benedict, I could argue doesn't get the job done if Peggy's not around. Like she is, it's not necessarily leading the horse to water, but she is very instrumental in making sure that this happens.
Oh yeah, like Peggy. If you don't know anything about Peggy, Peggy was quite sharp and very, very good at pulling the strings, let's say, of the people around her. And Benedict, who I think I know he's like the most famous traitor in American history, but like I think there's some nuance to that frequently gets ignored about the fact that like he was not paid what he was promised, he was not promoted when he was promised, he was injured badly, and Washington and the Continental Army made a lot of promises to him that they reneged on. So I kind of don't blame Benedict for what he did. We have had far worse traitors in American history recently, in fact, but Peggy was a real operator, let me tell you. Mm-hmm. And I think she led Benedict down the burn. So, yes. All right. So any comments on those? And then we're going to flip over to your half of the bracket, Irby, and then we'll get into some honorable mentions later.
Well, the Peggy one there, Abigail Williams, yes. On my father's mother's side, I had a relative who was burned, and she took some names down with her in good old Abigail fashion as well. But yes, wonderful family history.
Oh, local inherited traitor.
Yeah, exactly. But I love the inclusion there of Abigail Williams because it is more than just it was just community level collapse, but we became a symbol for civic breakdown. So love her inclusion there. Professor Umbridge. Oh, God, I hate that woman so much.
I hate her
She
more
just
than
smiles.
I'll
She
be
just
honest.
smiles the whole time. It was that. Yes. I Golly, she was so good at what she did, and oh yeah. And then Mrs. Coulter didn't have the same amount of nightmares as you had, but I fully can appreciate 19 years old having the nightmares about that woman. Totally understand that.
Honestly, it was mostly the monkey, but her by extension. That monkey really freaked me out, man. Oh.
But a huge part of hers. I mean, she was all about the long game.
Mm-hmm.
I did not matter how many years this took, and a master of covert manipulation might be putting it nicely for Miss Coulter.
Oh yeah, no, she's got some Peggy Shippen in her for sure.
But yeah, that's what you. Bo, anything you want to add to those 8 ladies?
No, as
you want
usual.
to add at the end?
Well, I might have some honorable mentions later, but for now, no, I got nothing to add.
All right. And I will jump in, and I don't have this as organized as well. I don't know how I did the organization that I did, but we're just going to run with it. The first one that I have, Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones, a serial, intentional betrayer whose treachery spans, my gosh, family, crown, religion, alliances, humanity. There was nothing she had no problem betraying. And she did it deliberately. My second one, the next two are both from Greek mythology. Medea, a devastating betrayer who is motivated by emotional destruction. Golly, I mean, killing of a king, killing of a princess, killing of her own children. The sheer catastrophic scale that came from a personal fallout is just legendary because we use the phrase "she snapped" or "he snapped," somebody snapped. Maybe we should stop saying "snapped" and just say, "Yep, she Medade, he Medade," because this one, when she went, she snapped. Next one from Greek mythology, Pandora. Odd one. This felt like an obvious, and I think Samantha, you both, we had this one right away. But then the more and more I looked at it, yes, look, from a civilization level fallout of introducing suffering and chaos into the world. Yes, this was horrible. Pandora was created with curiosity. I could argue she was too naive. This is Zeus's fault. He knew what she was doing. He created her to do it. He set this up for her to do it. In a way, she's a horrible traitor of what she brought, but she didn't know what she was doing.
Well, yeah, I think intent matters, but so does effect, right? So you can argue the devastating effects of this are one of the worst ones they have, but intent does matter. And this is the one where it's the same argument that you and I made when we saw Judas on the original bracket. Yep. And also, I think Eve on, we didn't include Eve, but, she was certainly somebody that we thought about where intent matters,
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Pandora. No, and that's right. It's like there was an intent, but God dang it, Pandora, why'd you open that jar?
Yeah.
Next up, from Arthurian legend, Morgan, or Morrigan, multiple ways you can say this Welsh legend. What I loved about her, not only was she a repeat offender, a repeat saboteur, if you want to say that, but the long game. We talked about that with Miss Coulter. The long game that she played, and she did it through her magic, through her seduction, through politics. There was nothing that she didn't mind utilizing to take down Camelot. And I love that, what Arthur and he had his morals had, and her lack of morals. You could say it was her own morals in her own way. There was no compromise between these two, and they were half siblings, which makes it even better.
They were also lovers, depending on which version of the story. So I have some academic stuff I want to get into with that, but we're going to save that for the honorable mention because it relates to one of mine. So, okay, we'll sit on that for a minute. Okay.
No, that's good. Next up, Talia al Ghul, also known as Miranda Tate, from The Dark Knight Rises, an embedded mole pretending to be an ally, a philanthropist, a lover, who, what I loved about Miss Tate here is that her timing, the timing of her betrayal was absolutely incredible. She is a deep cover infiltration, and we all believe it's not her. She's helpful, and the moment she has the keys to saving, that's the slow knife.
Yeah.
And it's the psychological break that Batman, in this case, believes he has saved, he is redeemed, he has triumphed, and whoops.
Well, and okay, here's a question. How much does the outside observer's experience with the material matter to this? Because, like, yeah, she's a pretty significant betrayer, just in general. But also, like, did the fact that you didn't see it coming matter? Because it sure did to me. Like,
yeah.
It's not like you don't know, like, Cersei Lannister, like, you know she's bad from the jump, right? Like, a lot of these people, you know, like, Lady Macbeth, like, they tell you that right up. You know, that's not a surprise, but, like, Talia al Ghul, like, man, she had me going. So, does that factor into your decision?
Yeah, and it's a great point, and we'll hit that when we go through our top fours, because there are so many factors. I think that was the hardest thing to do, is like, what matters most?
Mm-hmm.
My next one, there are three more to go. President, technically. Al McCoy from the Hunger Games, though it was not long. This political tactician, she betrayed the revolution that she led in the end. And she was plotting a false flag of mass execution of children to secure that power. Yikes. This national institutional betrayal, it was long-term played out, and she carried it out unbelievably cold. No remorse whatsoever for what she was doing.
Incredible work by Suzanne Collins there, by the way, because I think that more often than not, when you have a revolution, the person you get after you successfully depose whoever is in power is probably going to have some pretty significant flaws of their own, and I think this is a really good example of that.
Oh, yeah. Replacing a tyrant with a tyrant.
Yep.
My one real world, Ethel Rosenberg, I won't get into too much there, but wife of Julius, she was convicted of wartime espionage in the nuclear era, passing secrets to the Soviets, with some pretty significant global geopolitical implications there during the Cold War. But what's interesting about hers is it is treason, but it's an ideological treason intertwined with family loyalty. Mm-hmm. She was there, her and Julius, and that was literally, they're going down together. And then my last one is Madame Defarge. From
Madame Defarge,
Madame, sorry, I missed the first. Madame Defarge from A Tale of Two Cities. She orchestrated a generational revenge with her coded kill list, using political upheaval to settle personal and generational scores. She didn't just go after the targets, but their families, their children, their associates. Yes, a unbelievable, turning a personal vendetta into a societal terror. Yikes.
Dickens really had the right of this, of showing like the worst of the French Revolution, which is like, yes, this was absolutely wrong what they did. It's another thing that I think people need to be wary of. Again, when we talk about what happens with revolutions, is that often the people doing the revolting, they're not necessarily always right. And this would be one of those situations. But here's your person who kind of takes it even farther, that it's no longer about the ideological cause. It's about, how can I take advantage of the fact that there's just a guillotine sitting there, and I could maybe, dispatch a few of my enemies. Like, she's an easy one because she's just evil. There's no complexity here as there is with some of these characters.
No, and that was a huge thing, and it's interesting. When I was putting this together, I really was trying to organize, and then this gets into what we're doing. But you touched on this a little while ago. Like, intentionality was huge But it wasn't that. It was the frequency of portrayals played and the depth of deception. That long-term play. Yes, scale, consequences matters, but a big one for me when I kept going back to this was the willingness to cross moral lines.
Yeah.
That was huge for me in a trailer. Like someone not just cross, but the willingness to do that. And that's why I said it. This was fun to research and look at, and really, in a weird way, kind of respect some of these women differently now. Of just like, wow, new understanding of sticking to your guns with some of these ladies.
Yeah, well, and some of them I think much greater violators of that than others, right? Like I think you have your people here who are clearly just evil, Umbridge, Mrs. Coulter, Madame Defarge, I mean, I think you can kind of even argue Coco Chanel in that respect, or Abigail Williams, like some people are just bad people, and then you have the people that are kind of in the middle where they knew exactly what they were doing, but I don't know that they're that bad, like Peggy Shippen, for example. And then you have the people like Pandora, where it's like, I don't know that there was any intent there. It was just you're a flawed person and you made a mistake that kind of ruined the world. But so that's tough. Okay, so let's knock out a final four here for everybody, and then we can talk about some honorable mentions for this as well as for the men's bracket. So you want me to go first? You want to go first, Bo? You want to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm very confident in my now, I think.
Okay. So yeah, in my final four I have Mrs. Coulter because she's terrifying and also evil. Umbridge because she's so evil that I hate her more than Voldemort. Because there's nothing I hate more than a person who pretends to be nice and is evil. At least Voldemort was honest. He was like, I just want to murder you all, and Umbridge was like, oh, I love the Ministry. I'm so loyal. And, then she'd make you carve, I must not tell lies into your hand. So she gets in there for sure. Madame Defarge, purely just because so much of this was about personal gain and she caused so much destruction. And then for my fourth one, I actually do have the unintentional candidate, which is Pandora, because of the volume of damage that she did.
I love it. Yes, Coulter. Yeah, and I'll do this as I go on about. That's the only one that I have the exact same as you, Madame Coulter.
Okay.
Three of these were easy. Struggled with 4 and 5, and that's a good thing. Always good to have a good 4 or 5 matchup. But yes, my three, Coulter, Morgan, for me was just the more I read, the more I and she's Welsh in some of the stories, and I'm Welsh, so there's a little bit of that, sure. Yeah. And then Medea. I just the golly how much she goes. Like I mean that is for me was the ultimate of, but don't put baby in a corner. Don't put Medea in a corner.
If you haven't, you should read Don Winslow's City on Fire trilogy, which is basically like a modern crime retelling of the Aeneid. Oh boy. So that it comes up in a sort of allegorical sense there. And oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
And then my fourth one, so the two that I have, and I'm going to go with my gut here, and it's the one that fell short was Umbridge. The exact same reasons you said. Just God, I just hate it when I see her face. But I went with Cersei Lannister, and it really came down to just she betrayed the people that had her back. Like anyone, her lover, her brother, her father, everybody, the faith. Whatever you want to go, she had no problem betraying those that helped her. She would do anything she could to get in power. And there's that evil. Yes, she's pure evil, a horrible person. But how she just went through that realm, betraying anything in there, it just next level. And there's a little bit of theatrics. Like when she's going to kill a bunch of people in a sept, she's not just going to kill them. She's going to blow that thing up. Like there's a little bit of that of just.
Well, you know what this is? Okay, this is order versus chaos, right? Which is interesting. Like, does it matter the faction in which you do the damage that you do? Because, Umbridge is all about order. I mean, she literally says it over and over. I must have order. I must have order. And Cersei is all about chaos and destruction. Yeah, they both caused a lot of problems. But you can make an argument that, Cersei is worse because she does a lot more damage. So... the body count is certainly a lot higher because Umbridge, as evil as she is, was not a Death Eater. So, you can't really hold her responsible for that, but you can indirectly. I mean, if you put it in the Coco Chanel thing, she's a collaborator, right? Like, purely by speaking to the ministry, once the ministry is infiltrated, and she knows that as well as anyone else, you can argue that she goes in like the Coco Chanel bucket, collaborating with those who would seek to destroy. But it is an interesting sort of order versus chaos and how damage can be done both ways.
Yes.
So, all right, Bo, you have a final four for us before we get into some honorable mentions here?
I don't really have a final four that's going to go against you guys, but I have an honorable mention.
Okay, well, hold that then.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll talk about the honorable mentions then. All right, Irby. Well, Irby, did you have a champion overall? I didn't. I just had a final four. But did you have a champion that you wanted to share?
Yes.
Okay.
I spent way too much of my time. No, it was great. Morgan. Morgan.
Yeah.
Yes. I wanted at some point I thought Medea, and it just kept coming back to Morgan. Just how precise she was. I don't know. I mean, it's yes, she's part sorceress. I did learn about Medea. I don't. If you do this, she was a priestess of witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
So once you finish your doctorate, if you need another degree, apparently you can get it in witchcraft. You want to be a priestess of witchcraft. But
listen, if that program is still available, I promise not to do anything like what Medea did. Okay, like, so don't worry.
Right,
or Morgan,
right.
Like, I can be a good witch, sort of. I don't really promise you that.
Well,
that's what I think. Non-murdering witch. You put it that way. But
and that's what did it for me about Morgan is that there's times she's benevolent. My gosh, she's called Morgan. She's called the fairy. She's supposed to be good and everything, and she probably had this wonderful smile that like even children are like, oh, she's on our side. No, she's not.
Well, okay, so like, let's do some honorable mentions and let's talk about that because I want to talk about Morgan like from an academic perspective. Because one of my honorable mentions was Guinevere, and you and I had kind of debated this, and we talked about like some of that is about so Morgan is the one laying the groundwork. It's Guinevere ultimately whose action causes the downfall, but the only reason that really happens is because of what Morgan has done prior to that, right? So that's a good argument for Morgan. But it does also, I think, bring Guinevere into the fray, because her betrayal was, in some ways, a lot more personal and a lot more direct in terms of what it ultimately does to Camelot. And this is why, I don't understand why Lancelot isn't at least an honorable mention in a men's bracket, too, because you make the same argument. So, but the thing about Morgan or Morgana or, whatever you want to call her,
Morgana, names, like so wonderful.
Yeah. Sometimes, she's even conflated with Nimue some of the time. So here's the thing about Morgan, is it depends very much on which version of Arthurian legend you're looking at, because there are a lot of them. So her role varies a lot. Now, she is always not good, right? But like there are versions of Arthurian legend where she is more like, we'll call her a chaotic neutral. Sort of a sorceress who stirs up trouble. I would call her more amoral than immoral in those situations. And a lot of it sort of is about her relationship to Merlin in some cases, which is like generally not nearly as destructive. It has a lot more of the, the le fay of it all, right? That's the sort of mischievous fairy and just generally trying to cause problems as opposed to this dressing. And then the other thing that matters a lot here is what is her relationship to Arthur? Now, in the worst version of this, and in the most popular version of this, she is Arthur's half-sister, and she's also the mother of his son, Mordred, who is ultimately going to bring about the downfall of Camelot, right? So in the worst version of this, it's like, wow, we have incest. We have giving birth to essentially the Antichrist. Like, we have betraying your former lover, in a way your son. Why was Mordred not at the top of the bracket in the men's one, right? He wasn't even in there. Terrible decision making there, right? Like, I mean, Mordred, you murdered your dad. Well, they kind of murdered each other, but still he started it. But the thing is that he didn't start it. Morgan started it because she raised Mordred to do this. So like you mentioned, the long game, right? Like this is huge. And this is why Guinevere ends up in the honorable mentions, because she was just an idiot who married the wrong person and then couldn't control herself. Whereas Morgan, oh my gosh. So,
she can bide her time with the best of them.
Well, and just the whole process, especially when you start bringing in, like, imprisoning Merlin and the Rock and everything, if you see her also as Nimue, And this comes up in, I think, the Mallory version, and as well as, like, if you want the really all-encompassing one that's easy to understand, it's T.H. White's Once and Future King, right? Which is the one that kind of brings everything together and also brings in, the worst of Morgan. And Uther, too. Like, that's the other thing is, like, she was in play way back before Arthur was born with Uther. So, like, there are versions of the story where she's actually Arthur's mother and Uther's lover. So it's, it depends which version you go with, but they're all bad, right? Like, they all have that in common. Like, she's bad. So
she's bad. She may come across as good, but she is not good in any way, shape, or
oh
form.
yeah, no,
she's a fairy.
She's not helping you, no matter what. Like, even the ones where, again, she's sort of conflated with Nimue or the Lady of Shalott or whatever. Like, they're not really the same person. Ultimately, one of these things is benign and one of them isn't. So, yeah. So that's why I have Guinevere on my honorable mention list. I also had Agrippina because, like, I don't know. I mean, I know she kind of got hers in the end because, like, her son Nero murdered her. But, she also gave birth to him and raised him. So, like, something went really wrong there. Right? So I had to put Agrippina on this list. I also had to put Estella on this list because I love Great Expectations. And I think this is a fascinating story. Not enough people read it. It's really good. It's funny. I cannot stand this enough. Even if you think you don't like Dickens, just trust me. Read it. Really good. But Estella's betrayal of Pip is just horrendous to me. So I feel very strongly about that one. And then do you want to do yours or do you want me to give you my men's bracket honorable mentions too?
I can do. I've got three females that I will discuss one of them, and then we can do the men's.
Okay.
Because it transitions into that, if you remember.
Perfect. Yeah.
Couple of mine. Milady de Winter, as a serial betrayer. Would that be a nice way of putting it?
Yes.
A professional serial betrayer. That would be. There we go. Delilah. The ultimate betrayal for hire.
Yeah.
Going a little more pop culture, newer reference, Skylar White from Breaking Bad, who was flip-flopping all the time between betraying her husband, betraying law enforcement, betraying family, betraying her husband. Like, she just, whatever it is to survive. And then the last one, and this is what leads into the mail, Grima Wormtongue. So there's no Lord of the Rings references in here and everything. We haven't had. Grima Wormtongue is a male in the Lord of the Rings of Tolkien's writing, but the character, once I realized, is based upon there are female parallels to female Norse sagas. Gulveig and Hyr. If I mispronounce that, please correct me and everything, but that's the best that I can use. Their presence, very much Grima's path through Tolkien's world, basically sparked the Aesir-Vanir War. And it was a betrayal that transformed pantheons in Norse saga. And I just found that very interesting that Tolkien does not have any female traitors in his writing, but does in the form of Grima Wormtongue.
Yeah, I think this is super interesting because we were like, well, we have to get Lord of the Rings in here because we love Lord of the Rings, and obviously, Saruman was a huge one in men's brackets. He should be, oh my gosh. I had him in my final four in the men's bracket, but we went through the female characters there, and, first of all, most of the female characters aren't bad in Lord of the Rings. They aren't even bad. And like Shalab, as you pointed out, Shalab is loyal to nobody. She just eats, right? Like, she's not a traitor. She's just an eating machine. So there weren't really any other options. And I thought this Green Worm thing was really interesting because it's sort of like he brought in traits of female characters from Norse mythology. And if you know Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, that's where it all came from, right? So it's an interesting transfer there, and interesting that he chose to make that character male because he didn't have to. So that could have been a female character, which I think is sort of interesting and perhaps a statement in itself, but interesting stuff. Okay, so Bo, you mentioned you might have an honorable mention you wanted to throw on the pile there.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you guys can let me know if I missed the mark on this one. But my personal favorite fantasy series is a series called the Shannara series. Samantha, I know we've talked about this. Now, there's not a lot in terms of traitors just overall in that series. But there is one I would like to toss out there, and she's known as for many names. You originally get her as the Isle Witch, and she is the disciple of a really nasty character called the Morgwar, who is a centuries-old sorcerer that feeds on the souls of his victims. Now, she is his disciple until one day a druid named Walker Bow gives her the Sword of Shannara, which was the original book. And what the Sword of Shannara does is it's like a mirror. It turns around on you what you really are. So she sees the error of her ways, and together with this druid destroys the Morgwar. So that's the treason. That's the traitor, which is made even better because everything that this particular sorcerer fought against, she embraces and becomes the next high druid in the Shannara series. So, not only did she kill the guy, she joined the other side.
Okay, and she's going to the bad side, right?
No, she left the bad side and joined the good side. That's where I'm not sure if this actually does fit.
Oh.
So she betrayed all evil.
She betrayed all evil
good.
And joined good.
Okay. So
see, we don't really have that. So we don't have that flip.
Yeah, see, that's interesting. Like, because I'm not opposed to including that because that is still a traitor. We don't have anyone like that.
Yeah.
So no, I think that's interesting. I think that's a good ad. I think we should include that because now you're talking more about somebody along the lines of, well, Severus Snape is the best comp I've got. But yeah, I think that's a good addition. Actually, I like that. The Isle Witch. Okay.
Isle Witch. She's also known as the Queen of the Forbidding and Grianne Omsford. Those are her other names.
You got multiple names. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, do you know what her what she's derived from? Like, is she like a Jenny Greenteeth type, or like what's her origin? Do you know like what the character is derived from? Like,
I believe so. That there's in this Shannara series, you've got races of gnomes, elves, and man. I think she comes from she is the race of man. And she ends up with this sorcerer because he killed her parents. She didn't.
No, I mean I'm talking about like literary, like iconographically. Do you know who she's based on?
Oh, that I don't know.
Where does that come from? I can't say without reading it. I just sort of wonder. Okay, cool. Well, no, I think that's a good ad. All right. So men's bracket honorable mentions. Or do you want to go first? Or do you want me?
Yeah, because I really just have the two. I mean, Grima technically gets put in there as the addition, but also Gollum was not mentioned at all. And Gollum betrays so much for the ring, and you don't need to get into it, but it all comes. Gollum betrayed himself. He betrayed Smeagol, and that for me is damning enough.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's the big one. I think you could argue that Gollum betrayed everyone but the ring. So, but yeah, I'm with you on the Smeagol thing for sure. Mm-hmm.
But that's really all I have for the men's. If you got, I was hanging with the ladies all week on this. It was too much fun. Wonderful stuff.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Mostly, for the most part, I think the Ringer bracket did a good job. I don't think the voters did a particularly good job. But I think the people who created the bracket did a good job. The ones that I think were missing were Mordred, obviously, which we already talked about. Mm-hmm. That was a big one, and you could argue Lancelot by extension. That guy who murdered Bach, maybe murdered Bach. I guess we don't really know, but that really bugs me as someone who loves Bach. It really bothers me. Weird eye surgeon, occultist guy. It bugs me. It also bothers me that we don't know. So I think about this a lot. But my big one, this is like number one with a bullet to me. You guys know how much I love C.S. Lewis. Edmund Pevensie. Why he would win that men's bracket for me if he was in it. This idiot betrayed his entire family, Aslan, and by extension, Jesus, and all of Narnia for a box of candy. And it's not even good candy. Turkish delight. Have you ever had Turkish delight? It's disgusting. Oh, and by the way, he betrayed them all for a box of candy from a lady he met like an hour ago. Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
This is why we have stranger danger, kids. You don't just,
Oh my
if you
God, you
suddenly
don't-
meet an ice cream, an ice queen, and she offers you Turkish delights, just say no. Yes, is that the worst of it? I know it's not the worst of it, the candy, but is that really the worst? Like, really? That's what you're like? She had to be doing just Turkish delights. That's it. That's all you want.
Like,
Cool.
listen, what an idiot, right? Like, he came through that wardrobe, and like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes later, the white witch pulls up on a sledge, and you idiot are just like, sure, I'll hop on your sledge, creepy lady, and land in the back of my wardrobe who I don't know. And like, oh, sure, eat the food. What do they tell you when you go to another realm? Never eat the food, right? He's lucky he's not dancing himself to death, as one does in Fairy. If you eat the food, you don't know what this place is, And instead, it was like, oh, sure, I'll just sell everyone out for this nasty box of candy. Turkish delight. Give me a break, Edmund. But yeah, that was it. That was my honorable mentions for the men's bracket. Although I do have to mention Goat of Unknown Gender. Now, somebody in Chicago can tell me, perhaps we do know the gender of this goat, but I don't. But that goat caused a lot of problems, right? Like a lot of problems. So I would like to know, is the goat male? Is it female? Does it not matter? Is it just like goats are goats? So it doesn't really make any difference. But he makes a bracket either way, right? He, she, unclear, goat of undetermined gender. Got to go on the list for sure.
I know his name is Murphy, but yes, that doesn't do enough of us to tell if it's okay. Is that a male, female? So yes, I'm good with Goat of Unknown or Gender needs to be on there because yes, there was plenty of stuff. Nobody died, but still, that's not the only measure we're doing here.
Yeah, no, I think we can have metaphorically disastrous betrayals that are not about piling up bodies on here, right? Because this is combining both fiction and real world. So, so I think that the goat gets a nod. All right, anything else before we move on? Anybody have any further comments on the bracket? And guys, like, feel free to send us yours. If you have somebody, particularly with the women's bracket, because this is not meant to address in training, if you have somebody who you think was left off our list, let us know. We did have more than this, so perhaps it's somebody we considered and then didn't make the top 16. But I'm curious, Bo, you gave us one that I obviously hadn't thought about. So I'm curious what you guys out there have for this. If you want to contribute something, like, please send it on over to us. We would love to see that.
Yep. Well, then I want to go back. Bo, do you have a 4 from ours?
He passed on that.
Yeah,
Passed. Smartly done.
Yeah,
there's just too much to think through.
It really is like that. That's just not something I can do in the confines of a show. Like,
listen. We spent like several days doing it, so
I have no doubt.
Your excuse,
and don't regret that at all.
So, no, I'm like complaining the idea that we spend too much time on these things with the fact that we enjoy doing these things.
Yes. Weren't you about the nerdum last week?
Oh yeah. Deep in the hole. All right. That's it for the Traitor bracket. But yeah, let us know your picks. All right, Irby, you're up.
Nice job, guys.
Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. No cheaters in here, or any sorcerers or treachery at all.
There's some cheaters.
So we had our announcement yesterday, or whenever you listen to it on Tuesday, and Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones are our newest members. Carlos did it in his 4th year with 84% of the vote. A constant double-digit rise every single year in his 4 years. So kind of saw that one coming last year. And Andrew Jones in his 9th year, so he doesn't have to wait that 10th year. And he's one of the more interesting cases of one of the lowest starting his first year, only 7.3% of the vote, and gets all the way up to 78.4. So quite literally tenfold there. And getting himself in. So 2 this season. The closest ones after that, Chase Utley, only 59%, a 20-point jump from last year. So that will be interesting to watch. Andy Pettit took a significant jump. Last year to 48.5%. He was at 27.9. And I think we all remember talking about this last year. It's like, this is not going to happen. This was his 8th year, so he's only got 2 more. That jump is significant. That's still a long way to go on where you think Mr. Pettit ends up. The interesting ones of new ones, Felix Hernandez in his second year, big jump for him at 46.1%. Starting to feel like that one might go the Andrew Jones way, and it'll take another 4 or 5 years. Again, I'm not arguing the stupidity of that, but whatever. And the only person falling off, Manny Ramirez in his 10th and final year, does not break 38.8%. That is his high. First-year candidates, the only one that will be retained is Cole Hamels. Cole Hamels, 23.8% of the vote in his first year. Interesting to see now that his first year's done how much of a jump he gets. But he is the only one of first years that will be retained. Ryan Braun, only 3.5%. Edwin Encarnacion, 1.4%. And then a list of others down there as well. Early thoughts from you guys on the two in?
Terrible.
One's falling off or close one. There you go. Keep going.
Terrible. No. Absolutely. Neither one of these guys are Hall of Famers. And that's not even looking at their transgressions, right? They're not Hall of Famers. I mean, everyone that's listened to this podcast knows that I'm a small Hall guy. Samantha, I know you're a small Hall. They're not Hall of Famers. Just spare me their crap. They're not Hall of Famers. End of discussion. And then let's just say that they were Hall of Fame caliber players. You don't get to cheat to win the sports ultimate prize, then get put in the sports ultimate group. That's not hard. That's not rocket science. I don't know what if that pisses me off more than the fact that you had some nut jobs out there that were only voting for Carlos Beltran to prove a point. What's your point? Are you also the same people that are keeping those from the steroid era out? Because hypocrisy aisle one. Like this is ridiculous. Neither one of these guys should have been close.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, like you said, I'm also a small Hall person, and to me, one of these guys is not a Hall of Famer. No matter. I don't think Andrew Jones is a Hall of Famer. It's Hall of very good, regardless of the fact that he's a terrible person and I don't want him in there anyway. But like we said, it's not the Hall of nice person, right? That's not really what we're voting on. But Beltran, this sets a bad precedent. Is he a Hall of Famer without the cheating? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. If you cheat at the sport that has the Hall of Fame, why in the hell would you be allowed to be in it? We're not talking about, I'm sorry, what they did was way worse than steroids. Way worse. Yep. Right? This was way more damaging to the game. Way worse. So don't come in here and tell me that Manny Ramirez doesn't get to stay on the ballot, even though he was a minor offender as far as steroids go. But that guy gets into Hall of Fame. Give me a break. He doesn't have the credentials for me to say, he would have been a Hall of Famer no matter what before that. And also, I don't care. I don't care. You cheated. You desecrated the game. You destroyed a World Series. You were never punished for it. And now you're going to get rewarded by going into the Hall of Fame. And yes, I know that Carlos Beltran was disproportionately blamed for this because he was no longer with the team. And the Houston Astros did a great job of smearing the people who are no longer with the org. They would like you to believe that Carlos Beltran and Alex Cora were the masterminds of this, which I highly, highly doubt. It was just conveniently, those were the people who had moved on. So, even taking that into consideration, I don't care. You were an active participant in this, right? You're not like Garrett Cole, who was there and it had nothing to do with him, right? You were an active participant in this. You don't get to go in the Hall of Fame. And it breaks my heart to see Manny drop off the ballot because I think he's a very deserving Hall of Famer. The rest of those first year people, I don't care. I don't think any of them are Hall of Famers. Not a single one. So that's fine.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me. I'm glad to see Andy Pettitte make the jump. I don't know that he's going to get all the way there, but we've talked a lot about how we think Andy Pettitte has a really valid case. So, who am I forgetting? Am I forgetting anybody here? Oh, Felix Hernandez. You guys, I don't care about that. I got to tell you, I don't. He's underwhelming to me as a Hall of Fame candidate. I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but I don't think I would vote for it. But I'm a small Hall person, so I think it just depends on your philosophy. I certainly don't have any objection to him in any way. Who could? But he doesn't excite me. But there are just so few people on the current ballot that excite me in any way. I'm not sure I really want any of them. So it's kind of a bust year for me. But this one is particularly offensive in terms of who got in. This is just this is a no for me.
Mhm.
Definite no.
Yeah, I'm a small hall as well. I don't think I'm as small as you guys, but it definitely would gear more towards that than where we're at. And I don't love the trend of where we've had 8 inductees in the last 3 years. Again,
Yeah.
some very, very good candidates. Adrian Beltre, Ichiro, absolutely.
Well, but okay, but those were, I mean.
And that was, and it's good, and they should be in, but it feels like this is almost intentional coming off of, if you remember, 2021, nobody.
Oh, yeah.
2022, just David Ortiz. 2023, just Scott Rowland. And I feel like that we're seeing this change of like, no, we need to have multiple in every year. And I don't love that approach. You shouldn't have to put people in just because there's another year. Which then leads me to my next point of the names for next year.
Oh, God.
Buster Posey, John Lester, Brett Gardner, Ryan Zimmerman, Kyle Seager, Asdrubal Cabrera, Todd Frazier, Josh Reddick, Jake Arrieta, Scott Kazmir, Jay Bruce.
Gardner.
There's not a single Hall of Famer in that group. Not
I'm
one.
gonna go no. I'm gonna go hard no on the whole list.
There's not a single one.
Well, Posey's the only one really that there's a conversation.
Listen, watch me cast my ballot that I don't have next year with nothing written on it but Andy Pettitte. That's what I'm doing. Just putting that out there right now.
Well, hey, if we could do that for Carlos Beltran, I think we could do it for one of the greatest postseason pitchers to ever play the game.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. Like, is it really so bad not to have a Hall of Fame class? Is it really so bad that you put in these two guys?
No, it's not.
But there were other people on the ballot who you could have put in who would
also
be
true.
That's what really kills me about it. You could have gone with Pettitte. You could have gone with Felix. You could have gone with Vin freaking Ramirez. Any of those people would have been a better pick than the ones that you.
God, I'm sitting there. It was just horrifying for the last handful of weeks to watch those percentages just go up, 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 and up for these two.
Yes,
like
agree.
It was just every time I saw an update, I was like, "Oh God, it's gotten worse." I'm sitting here thinking, "Okay, maybe it's just the early balance, and the percentages start going." No, just kept going up to those in the solid 90s. It's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Are these same writers going to look everyone in the face the next time they say no to A-Rod or no to Bonds, no to Clemens?
Accountability. There's no accountability for this. These are the same people that looked at Ichiro. No, he did. There was it two or three people that looked at Ichiro.
Somebody didn't vote for Griffey. There's a person out there who did not vote for Ken Griffey Jr. There's a person out there who didn't vote for Derek Jeter. What the crap is that? Like, and thank you for bringing up the A-Rod thing. Because, like, A-Rod, yes, really annoying guy, right? Unlikable, unsympathetic, kind of the worst. Really good baseball player, and like really good baseball player independent of the steroids, which again, as we have already discussed, is a far smaller transgression and a far better player. I can't. I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. Like, this is just an absolutely insane way to approach this. And, one of the things that we need to do is say, like, you have to put your name on your ballot. Like, this is not a government election, right? Like, this is a thing where you need to put your name to your vote and explain yourself.
Yes.
Like,
100%.
Give me a break. Like,
100%.
Yep.
Because the only argument that I would make that's better if you're going to do weird things like that, Alex Gordon and Nick Markakis each received 1 vote. But here's the thing: if I'm Alex or Nick, I'm finding out who it is, and I'm buying you a steak dinner. Just kind of because those are guys that you knew you were never going to get in the Hall of Fame, but one person did it. So there's got to be like, hey, you know what? I appreciate that, because there was never going to happen. And this is idiotic what I'm saying, because now you're making a farce of it. But if we're going to do this crap where we're just voting for one person to make a point, then we're already making a farce of the thing.
Well, and I don't necessarily have a problem. I wouldn't do it being a small person, but I don't actually have a problem with your local beat writer who knows you and loves you and convinces himself 100%. That you have a case and votes for you because they feel really strongly, because they had eyes on you every day for your entire career. I'm not opposed to that. I hate that so much less than anonymous guy putting Carlos Beltran in there and then shutting out A-Rod and Manny and Andy Pettitte and Felix.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
we'll do it again next year. We'll have this thing.
Can't
No
wait.
doubt. No
Yeah.
doubt. No doubt. Oh, God. Okay. All right. Well,
Maybe Pablo Sandoval will get in. Go Panda. Go Big Panda.
I hate that less. I'm just saying. Hate it
Right?
less.
I mean, it's not right, but I do hate it
Yeah.
less.
It's less wrong, though. It's less wrong.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, we're going to close with a lot of baseball, guys, because one, some fun stuff to talk about, but two, we're like 3 weeks away from pitchers and catchers, and I'm starting to get that itch. Right? I'm starting to get that, baseball season's almost here. Right? Like, we just have to get past the Super Bowl, which is not far away, and then this is basically baseball season at that point. So, I thought we would take a look, first off, at who has improved themselves the most and who's improved himself the least. Because at this point, we pretty well have all the top free agents signed. There's a couple of pitchers still out there. But for the most part, we kind of know what these rosters are going to be. So I've got a list. I've got 3 most improved and 3 least improved. And I have no doubt that you guys are going to have some of the thoughts here on who should be on these lists. But let's just go ahead and give each one, and I'll get your response to it. Most improved, I'm looking at the Cubs, I'm looking at the Red Sox, and I'm looking at, unfortunately, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Thoughts?
Okay. Yeah, and we're just to clarify for everybody, in case it wasn't clear, we're basing this purely off of off-season transactions.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
Red Sox for sure.
Finally got some pitching.
Yeah, that was a big one for me. Dodgers. Yeah, I mean, I know everyone hates it. I'm sorry, but yeah, that team had very few flaws, and they have unfortunately addressed them.
Yeah.
I don't know about the Cubs. I definitely think they're on the net positive end of it. I don't know that they're a net positive more than like the Blue Jays, for example. So I think the Blue Jays have to be in the top 3.
I thought about the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays were definitely in the conversation in my head. It was the Bo Bichette loss that put the Cubs over the top.
Okay, but
for
my
me.
reasoning behind that is that I don't think that's much of a loss.
That's fair.
He was injured.
Yeah.
Most of the season. He's a really overrated player. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but he is way overrated compared to what he actually produces. And a lot of that's health. It's not his fault, right? There's nothing against Bo Bichette. It's just his health has been questionable. And I think that taking that money and spending it on something that's a little bit more reliable was actually an upgrade there. And I think they were smart to walk away from that. And defensively, he's not anything, right? Like Ernie Clement can play that position defensively to the same tune. So
he's perfect for the Mets, though, isn't he? Absolutely perfect.
Well, anytime someone overpays for something, they're perfect for the Mets. It's just that the Mets tried and were not allowed to overpay for a lot of things, and they landed on Bo Bichette, which is just the Metsiest thing ever. So, yeah, and then telling him to play third base, which is only going to make it worse, by the way. I don't know, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, Irby, how about you? What are your thoughts there?
He's just a lonely third baseman. No, he's not. Yes, he is. He's a first base. I don't know. Boston. I wholeheartedly agree with the Boston. Even I mean, with the Ranger Suarez signing, the Sonny Gray edition also looks good. Looks a whole lot better now. That was not by itself, but when you put those together, yes, this is great.
Got rid of Bregman, addition by subtraction.
Yep.
Addition by subtraction. Yep. Yes. The other one too, and this is where paper and real world will be interesting. On paper, the Orioles have done some good things.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Real world, is it going to play out that way? That's what'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. I looked at the Orioles too. I really thought about the Orioles, but I didn't think that what they added is actually going to translate into the jump in wins that their fans are hoping for.
No, I also think that improving from horrible to okay doesn't qualify you for this list. So, just throwing that out there.
All right.
We're okay. We're
okay. All right. Least improved. Now, these are our bottom dwellers for the most part. I really did seriously consider teams like Seattle, which really hasn't done much. They're kind of bringing back the same squad, and actually it took a little bit of a hit with a couple of their losses. I decided not to go there because they're still going to be a contender. So my list for least improved are the Rockies, the Nationals, and the Marlins. Thoughts?
Well, they're definitely all bad. I don't know if they're the three teams that got the most appreciably worse, though. Like, I don't think the Rockies are any worse than they were a year ago. So I don't think we can count the Rockies because they're just bad, right? Like,
Bad general,
like, yeah. Technically least improved because they did nothing. But like, I think maybe I just approached this differently from you because I was looking for people who actually went backward for this.
Sure.
And people who actively got worse. Mm-hmm. So if we're talking about who got worse, then I think we have to have a different conversation here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, obviously Houston has to be on that list, right? I mean, I know they're probably glad to see the back of Framber, potentially, but, like, that team is getting worse. You know, the Correa business is going to be a problem. You know, like, that team is heading in the wrong direction. So that one's out there. The Mets have obviously gotten worse. So that you have to put out there. I mean, there's an argument for, you know, you can kind of make the argument for Philly. I'm not saying they won't be a good team. It's
that was another one.
It's the same argument you're making for Seattle, right? That, like, it's not that you're going to be bad, but you are going the wrong way. So in the interest of sort of making it for teams who are actually relevant, I would pick those. Because if we're just saying least improved, then, like, yeah, I think you're right. And, well, the Marlins, I think, do belong in this list because they appear to be actively trying to get worse, which is interesting. So, you know, perhaps the Marlins
they are
keep there. But, you know, the Rockies, it's like, I don't know, man, they're just bad. We're not going to talk about them. We're going to leave them alone. They're just terrible. They can't get worse because they are worse already. They're worst with a T. So they can't get worse. Actually, they could. I don't want to challenge them, you guys. I shouldn't say that.
I will say that the Mariners and Phillies originally were on my list, but I decided not to go with contenders, which is a different approach, different way of looking at it. But I agree with you 100% that they both went backwards.
Okay, well, question for you: do you have somebody? Because here again, this is where I come back to sort of like the Mets thing. It's like the top candidate for this has to be somebody who was a contender and now is not, right? So that's your best candidate here. So, I mean, are we looking at what, the Mets in Houston?
Yeah. I would probably put the Mets above Houston because I'm not really quite sure at this point. I mean, granted, this is January and not March, but I'm not really sure what the West looks like right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And also Houston, you know, I mean, do you trust them not to just figure out a way to do it, legal or not? Well, the Mets are just flailing about.
Exactly.
You know, like, I mean, God bless the Mets. They would never cheat. They'd never be able to figure out how to do it. But yeah, I think that's definitely the correct ranking.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Irby, how about you? What are your thoughts here?
I not disagreeing with anything y'all have. I love what you're saying in there on Mets and Astros and Marlins. Obviously, I mean, I guess that's kind of on par though. Like, this is normal, business as usual. I got two that are. It's a little different approach and everything, but missed opportunities, I think, for what the direction they're going. One is the Brewers, especially with what the Cubs are doing. Milwaukee just seems to be, you know what? We've had our run. We're not going to try and do anything better. And they could say they don't have money, and they can complain all they want, and they can move their home run fence in a little bit all they want. But City, once again,
I thought about this one too. Yeah,
like what
Royals?
Royals. Like, what are you doing? Nothing. Okay, cool.
They gave all their money to Bobby Witt. I'm sorry, they gave all my money to Bobby Witt. They gave all your money to Bobby Witt. They gave all the revenue sharing money that was paid by other people to Bobby Witt. So now they can't put together a team. So I'm glad we bought you Hall of Famer and 0 championships, I guess. But yeah, it's a confusing business plan happening there. I would agree with that. But they moved their fences in, right? They think they approved because they moved their fences in. So surely that must be it.
No.
Maybe that's what. But see, that's not adding. That's taking away. They took away.
Oh, but it's but they're adding because if you can't get your opponents to turn their wind machines off, then you just move your fences in. I mean, I don't know what you do with the fences if the other guy hits the ball over your fence, which has been sort of a problem for you folks. But,
they're adding home runs for everybody. Oh, they're so nice.
Aw, that's nice. Well, they're just trying to make it easier for everybody. It's like the Yankees Rayfield torch, right? We just love lefties. We love them. Yeah. I don't know. Royals are too. I never know if the Royals are too. But we do wish Vinny Castantino all the best.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anything else on this before we hop into the mound portal? Actually, in the mound portal?
No, but I'm frightened. Because one never knows,
So, right. So I was wondering, because we talk about the mound portal a lot on this show. Obviously, are we fans of the mound portal, or do we just talk about it because it's there and we know it's there?
I'm a fan of it, but also I'm afraid of it. It's just a thing that needs to be addressed. Whenever there's supernatural elements in play in baseball, we must address it because we are a big fan of, what do we say, 80% mental, 20% seance? So, it falls into that bucket, I think.
Well, okay. So I started really spitballing this in my head. Like, what would it be like to go through the mound portal? And you kind of have to look at the impact it has on those that do go through the portal. You see what happens on the field. So what happens, in that brief instance where you go through the mound portal and you have to go through that and you come out and you make a really ill-advised throw, right, as the pitcher. So for this exercise, for this, I actually know what I have no idea what to call it besides an exercise. Alice in this case, because we're going to do Alice in Wonderland. It's the best thing I could come up with for what happens in the mound portal, because they come out and they're very what's the word I'm looking for here? They're very disoriented, right?
Well, it's very down the rabbit hole, right?
Right.
Yeah, like very much like falling into Wonderland.
Yes,
so, yeah.
We're following into our LSD trip. That is the mound portal. All right, so Alice. I had to come up with somebody who recently went through the mound portal, and it was particularly bad. Unfortunately, that falls on one Orion Kerkering. That was the worst one I could come up with. That's recent. It was also the end of a season. What this poor kid did. So he's Alice, and he's stepped into the mound portal, going into Mound Portal Wonderland. Now, these characters are not in order of the film. At least I don't think they are. But I've got some baseball personalities that he would come across in Mound Portal Wonderland. Let's start with the Mad Hatter, who is one of my favorite characters. Not just in this movie, but just in general, one of my favorite characters. The Mad Hatter is going to be played by Max Scherzer. That just felt right. I don't know what you guys think about this.
I have to tell you, the way that they animated the Mad Hatter in the Disney version of Alice in Wonderland, his facial expressions are not that far off from that Scherzer. So, yeah. I don't know. I actually think that's a pretty good shit.
Yeah. I like Max Scherzer for the Mad Hatter. Now, the Mad Hatter has a best friend down in Wonderland. It's the March Hare. The March Hare is the best friend of the Mad Hatter. So I decided I was curious, does Max Scherzer have best friends? Turns out he does. And both Max Scherzer and one Chris Bassett have actually both said publicly that they are best friends. So I went the best friend angle with Chris Bassett as the March Hare.
Interesting. I did not know they were friends. That must be recent. Well, I guess it would have to be, right?
It has to be recent, right?
Before this, but yeah, sure. Why not? Okay. Yeah, why not?
Yep. Urbini, any thoughts so far?
I am sitting back and enjoying this portal ride. This is great. Keep it up. Keep going. Throttle down.
All right, Samantha, help me out with the pronunciation. Is it Cheshire Cat?
Cheshire Cat.
Cheshire Cat. Okay. All right, the Cheshire Cat. I wanted somebody that would fit this weird cat. And I couldn't get off of the idea of Josh Naylor as the Cheshire Cat. What are your thoughts there?
Probably not subdued enough to be the Cheshire Cat. He's quite understated. But he is kind of nuts. So, I mean, you can argue that like the Crazy Eyes business is a match. And also just the spewing of the nonsense. So I don't hate it. I do think Josh would need to maybe tone it down a little bit when he was in full Cheshire Cat mode, but like I don't dislike that at all because of the sort of unclear nonsense of it all. I don't know that I think of Josh Naylor particularly as like a deceiver. I think he's actually quite straightforward in his nonsense. So like it might be more like a hybrid with somebody who's more like that. But like I think there are some elements there that do work. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, Irby, anything there before we get into the Queen of Hearts?
No. I was trying to think of somebody different, but no. Now you got me distracted. Who's your Queen of Hearts?
Okay, my Queen of Hearts was actually the first person I cast in this particular situation. Madison Bumgarner is your Queen of Hearts.
Which one?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Which one?
The Queen of Hearts.
Madison
Which
Bumgarner.
Madison Bumgarner?
Oh, the crazy one, the Mad Bum.
The Rodeo Clown?
Yeah, the rodeo clown.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like this. I could totally see him. Yeah, no, I mean, this is Max Scherzer, and I think that Max Muncy is Alice in this particular situation, yes? So.
Absolutely, yes.
So, yeah, no, he would make a great Queen of Hearts out there with his bat that's a flamingo, hitting the ball that's a porcupine, and scaring the crap out of everybody when he has a complete meltdown. I mean, painting the roses red. Like, can't you just see that guy doing something like that? Can't you see him terrorizing his landscape architect in that way?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, I could.
I mean, and we love Mad Bum. This is a very pro Mad Bum. Like, I don't actually want to know him. I think it would be frightening. But, he's a great character. And yeah, no, I think he would make an excellent Queen of Hearts. I like that a lot. Mm-hmm.
All right, so next on the list here is the White Rabbit, which is the herald of the Queen of Hearts and always late. Now, I really thought about trying to find, one player who's always late. The best I could do was the slowest swing was Luis Ariz. Which I will let you guys be the judge. We could go slow swing with Luis Ariz, or we could go more the herald route with one Buster Posey. Which one would you rather have?
Oh, I vote for Luis Ariz. I think this is a person who has one skill and is always behind. Yeah, that's very White Rabbit.
I agree. Yeah. I agree, but that one I was really kind of going back and forth. I wanted to give you guys an option on that one. So, all right, Luis Ariz is the White Rabbit. The King of Hearts, the what's the best way to describe the King of Hearts, Samantha? He's very overshadowed.
No,
could be,
but he's very afraid of his wife. So, as he probably should be.
Yeah, I feel bad about this, but I was looking for somebody affable, and I came in with Cal Raleigh, and I feel bad about that.
I don't think Cal Raleigh is that much of a pushover, but I think we need somebody who's a little bit more biddable than Cal Raleigh, who strikes me as a very nice person, but not necessarily somebody who's going to let Madison Bumgarner walk all over him. But you never know. I don't know. Catchers are diplomats by nature, right? So,
right.
And the King of Hearts was more of like an equivocator. So it's not an exact match, but like there's some logic to that, though, I think. Or probably, I don't know, maybe it's whoever had to catch Madison Bumgarner. Maybe that's the answer.
Whoever has to what?
Whoever had to catch Madison Bumgarner.
Oh,
for the bulk of his career. Who was the catcher?
Well, we could put Buster Posey down there since we were
fairly affable person.
Could do that.
Maybe a little on the biddable side. So yeah, maybe it's Buster Posey. That might make sense.
We'll just do a shift. Right, Luis Ariz becomes the White Rabbit, and we'll just recast. Buster Posey becomes the King of Hearts. That's fine. That's fine. Okay,
that happens all the time. Buster came in reading for one part, and he got a different part.
Exactly. Yeah. That happens everywhere. Okay, last and certainly not least, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. I decided to go former players on this one because it fit too perfectly. Benji and Jose Molina for Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
I don't know that I think that's a personality match. But they don't strike me as stupid or difficult, the Molinas. Am I wrong about this? Is there something about the Molinas I don't know? So Tweedledee and Tweedledum are quite a nuisance.
As were the Molina brothers, trying to watch them run around the field. Come on. They were a menace. Except for the one time Benji got a cycle, which was still hilarious. I don't know. What do you have? You want to toss out there?
Yeah, I'm looking for like a nuisance pair.
The Boons?
I don't think they necessarily have to be brothers. It is more difficult if you make them actual brothers.
I've got one half, but I need another bald.
Well, who's your one half?
Brett Gardner.
Yeah, Brett Gardner and what's the one that got they get the Volpe, Anthony Volpe.
You could go all the way back to the Bash brothers.
Yeah, that might be a good fit for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
That's more the nuisance factor and also the idiot factor in a way. So yeah, no, I mean generalized chaos maybe. Yeah, no, I like that. I think that might be the right way to go for this one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. So that's what happened to poor Orion Kirkering when he went through the Mount Portal. He went through that gauntlet in Mount Portal Wonderland. So, of course, he threw home instead of first. Makes sense, doesn't it? Makes sense now.
It does. Well, and okay, so what are we missing? Important Alice in Wonderland characters. I will try to dig up just so everyone can get a good laugh. I don't know if I have any photos of this here. This is before phone cameras, you guys. So I'm old. But we dressed up as Alice in Wonderland my junior year of college. I was the Cheshire Cat, and we had really good costumes. So I will see if I can find those photos, and I will post them if I can.
Nice. Okay.
They're quite funny. We put a lot of effort into those costumes. They came out pretty good. So if I can find it, I will share those. So we're missing the Dormouse and the Bandersnatch. So the Dormouse is definitely like Anthony Rendon, right? Because it's just like sleeping through. It does not care. It is literally asleep in the middle of a mad tea party, which is exactly what Anthony Rendon would do. And then the Bandersnatch was like kind of like my personal hero in a lot of ways. Like, see, this is where I would have probably gone Josh Naylor, even though I sort of like also liked the Cheshire Cat thing he came up with for him. So because Bandersnatch has to be like a little bit crazy, but like ultimately like you want to like ride or die with that thing, which is how I think of Josh Naylor. So he might have to be double cast. He may have to play two parts. It might be that.
He could do it.
Yeah, it might be that.
Okay. Irby, any thoughts here before we call it a week?
The only one I wanted to add is, you remember the caterpillar?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we forgot about the caterpillar. Yeah.
That Grinky.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's perfect.
Oh boy! All right. Well,
who are you?
Yes, the dry humor, perfect. That's
oh boy! All right. Well, wherever you're listening to Lollygagging Sports, give us a like, subscribe to the show, help us out with that algorithm so we get some more lollygaggers in here. But for this week, we're done. We're out of here. Until next week, watch some football. If nothing else, it's going to be entertaining.
Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! If there's something cold.